Hello and welcome back to Kaki Land. In last two episodes of Kaki Land, we spoke about how students of Jamia Millia Islamia and Aligarh Muslim University were attacked on 15 December 2019 for protesting against the new Citizenship Amendment Act. The violent nature of the police crackdown immediately garnered a lot of global condemnation. The violence had an immediate effect on the Muslim community in India. In defiance to the warnings from the state, a lot of people, especially Muslims, came out on the street protesting against the Citizenship Amendment Act.
Thousands of people defied a ban on public gatherings in the Indian capital, New Delhi. They oppose a recently passed law that grants citizenship to religious minorities from Afghanistan, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, but excludes Muslims.
I think this law is an existential threat to the idea of a secular India as it was defined in the constitution.
The action against the students of Jamia Millia Islamia and AMU became deeply personal to many of the Muslim households. And at least for some time, people thought that police were reconsidering their actions and becoming more accommodative to the idea of people protesting on the streets.
Thousands of people here are chanting slogans against the government and the law. And although police were told earlier to detain demonstrators, they're just watching from the sidelines.
All those false hopes shatter within a week. 5 days after the attack on Jamia Millia Islamia and Aligarh Muslim University, the Uttar Pradesh police went on a killing spree on a Friday evening. And a day before that, they locked down all the civil society people and activists in the state. You're listening to Kaki Land, stories of police and Muslims in India. In the next 3 episodes, we look at what happened in Uttar Pradesh in December 2019 that according to some human rights organization should be investigated as crimes against humanity.
First of all, in case of 19, the 19th call had been given before the Jamia, because that was a martyr day of Ashfaq Ullah Khan as well as Ram Prasad Bismil. So for the northern India, they were the top figure of the freedom fighters and they have been martyred in the same day. So we had given the call in the name of Saji Shahadat and Saji Virasat. And the call had been mostly it's given by civil society and civil society organizations.
Nadeem Khan is a civil rights activist from Delhi.
And I think approximately 50,000 people have been detained, and when they don't have any bus, nothing, then they'll just give up. Police had been give up, and then people were on the street and the program have been organized. And we had given the call at the time of morning, but it's went on full day at the time of evening. Left parties had given the call. Simultaneously, the same call had been given on the 19th in Lucknow. In Lucknow, it wasn't because of Delhi and they did the Jamia, so nothing had been happened in Delhi because Delhi police was in a guilt of Jamia, or there is some outside of the pressure, outside pressure or some political pressure, or you can say that some international media's pressure in Delhi. So Delhi was safe on 19, but the same day protests have been organized in this place in Lucknow. People have seen the police persons without any nameplate. They are covering their faces, they are throwing the stones, they are firing the vehicles, torching the vehicles, and bullet firing, and everything was going on. And they arrested huge number of the protesters.
One of the noted figure among the arrested was Sadaf Jafar, a leader of the opposition party, Indian National Congress.
I was at Parivartan Chowk. We were all very peacefully protesting. We were singing songs and, Gandhi bhajans, and we were all there. And the IG approached us and he was okay with our protest, and he said that we should leave the venue as soon as possible because he was expecting that something might happen. We said that we will go on for a while and then we will leave. Eventually, we see these whole lot of people surrounding us, and then the stone pelting started. Now the question is, all these people were dressed up as Muslims. That is, they were wearing a kafia, they were having a round skull cap, they were all wearing short pajamas. So this was happening when they were intercepting everybody who was coming. How is it that so many people with so many stones managed to reach that venue with bricks and they were not intercepted by the police? I have it all live with me. Some of them, they, went into my phone and they've deleted certain things that could not be, that did not go online. In amidst this whole chaos where the vehicles were being burnt, you find that there are certain group of Muslims who are actually rendering namaz. It was so staged, and I am actually seen saying that this is staged. Who would do this? Who? And that was not a awwal waqt. That was not the time when you hear the azan and people decide to. And it was, everything was burning around you. It was state sponsored. Citizens, you think I or anybody who's just shut his shop to come and protest will start stone pelting? And then they bring up a UPSRTC bus and they park it right there. And then it is set on fire. Why did you bring it there? Why did you, instead of that, why did you not bring the fire brigade there? And then after this whole chaos was over, we were trying to very peacefully move. I was not scared. I could have taken some other route where I could escape the police. I went right from among this whole thing, and on the Parivartan Chowk as I was passing by, they said, "Kaleje mein thandak pad gayi, danga kara liya." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then I was arrested. And then they started hitting me on my legs, on my calf, with those sticks on the street. And then I see Pawan Ambedkar, who was accompanying me at that time. Pawan Ambedkar was a Dalit social activist. He was horribly beaten. And then he was dragged, and he was dragged by his hair by the police, and we were brought to the side of the street where we were caned on the street itself. The cameras that were recording it, the media people, they were asked to either give the chips or whatever to them. Okay, the memory cards, they said that you give it to us, otherwise we'll break your cameras. They were so scared that one of the journalists recognized me while I was being arrested. They kept looking for me all over. For 24 hours, he did not have a courage to tell a soul that he saw me. He was so scared. And then eventually we were taken into after being caned very badly on the street, we were put in the police van where I was slapped several times by a male. And then we were taken to the Mahila Congress where Mahila constables, as they kept coming in, they kept beating me up. One of them, I covered my face with my hand and she scratched my entire face with her nails. My hair was pulled. And she started taking off her belt. When the other senior lady police came in, police officer, she dragged her out. But she too slapped me several times. And then in the night, I was called by the male police officers who kicked me in my stomach. They called me jihadi. And they kept telling me they were caning, they were rude, they were horrible. And they kept saying ki, hum log tum logon ke liye itna kuch karte hain. So suddenly, I could see the police partitioning India once again. And the kind of abuses that they were using, the kind of slurs that they were, communal slurs that they were using, it was more than how it was aching on my body, it was aching my soul. We were not produced before the magistrate. We were given 14-day judicial custody without not even videographed. Nothing. In the night, we were taken for the medical. I kept telling the doctors to test me. I needed a woman because I was bleeding profusely after being kicked in my stomach. I kept saying that I want a nurse, at least if not a lady doctor. They did not provide me any. Instead, they threatened. My BP was shooting. So they said that if you do not behave yourself and go back to the Thana again, we will inject you and you will sleep. You will not wake up after that. And I was scared. My family was not informed. And then after I was sent to jail, only then through press conference, my family came to know that I have been arrested.
This sounds so horrifying. And you, as a social activist, violences that had happened that night, how do you look back to this incident? Do you still feel the trauma of that night?
Yes. I mean, I wouldn't be human, and I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be completely honest if I say that the trauma does not exist. Being a single mother, ever since my husband left, the only fear that I had in my life was, what if I go out and not return? What if I meet with an accident? What if nobody tells my children that your mother's never going to come back? What if I am not able to say Khuda Hafiz to my children? And that night,
somebody who came to inquire about you, and that person was also detained and
beaten, yes. One of our colleagues who was also a social activist, he came looking for me because all of them were looking in various thanas and they were going to various places. So he came looking for me, and for the first time, whole night I was very upset with all of them that nobody's coming and finding out where I am. And when I saw him the next morning, I was actually, I was hurt. And I was scared that he too will meet the same fate, which he did. He was beaten up, and they said that we are going to take out Bhagat Singh out of you. We're going to cane Bhagat Singh out of you. He was caned badly, and then he too was sent, and his name was written, the FIR was typed, his name was written by pen. And he too was sent to the jail. Jail was even more traumatizing. They stripped all the male colleagues in front of me.
you were sent to the same jail, both of you?
It is one big campus where you have Mahila jail is also in the same campus, except it is a little aloof. But we do keep meeting because we ran into each other because during the video call, whatever, conferencing and whatever that happened. So when I was the only woman there. I was made to sit on a slab there. And I was bleeding. I was not given any sanitary napkin or anything. I kept bleeding. They just gave me 2 newspapers so that they said that you sit on this, otherwise you'll spoil our chair. So after I reached the jail, I was made to sit on a slab. There are 2 cameras facing one another, and men are asked to strip. And I was sitting right there, seeing my colleagues being stripped to the last thread. I mean, how much can a person be dehumanized? It is so humiliating and hurting. So, people talk about the hurt that you feel. I did not feel the physical trauma as much as I felt the mental trauma and emotional trauma that I went through. That is a different story, that my knees still hurt. The way they had beaten me up. I have damaged nerves in my soul. I have difficulty walking. I have very severe pain in my nerves after all the caning. See, jail is a different world, and especially if you go to a Mahila jail, there's a lot of, these are women who have been, they are under trials of very grave crimes that they have committed, supposedly, or whatever. But you have a lot of female camaraderie in there. They surround you. The moment they see you beaten up, one of them would run and get hot water bottle for you. Those big Pepsi bottles are filled with hot water. They tried to bring as much ease. One of them ran and got me my first chai in 24 hours. So there was a lady who was brought in by an ATS. She's from CPIML. And she was a great support. We could talk at least. There was somebody who could understand, who was at your own wavelength. But it is a different world there. Jail is, I don't know, it is something that needs to be actually talked about in detail. But there was a lot of female camaraderie despite of so much of tussle that we have to face for basic things there.
How many days did you spend?
I spent 20 days there. But it's like a matter of lifetime. What they do at night is that they close the door with a bang, and very loudly they put the latch and the lock, and then they hit the lock on the door, so that for next 24 hours that you are now being locked up for next 12 hours. Even now, when the train stops with a halt or makes that sound, I wake up with a start. So the trauma remains with you for the rest of your life. I'm sure Yogi Adityanath, when he hears this, he will feel very happy and he might smile that, oh, she's traumatized. But the thing is that you draw your bravery and your strength from this trauma. See, I knew that the police is going to be very brutal because there was an internet shutdown. After I came out of jail, I realized a lot of friends who were holding meetings with me, who were there with me, they had disappeared. They had deactivated their accounts. They had switched off their phones. They had changed their numbers. The crackdown was very brutal. And then you realize that so many people, I was a social activist, I was a spokesperson of a political party. I had Priyanka Gandhi ji backing me. I had Meera Nair in Bollywood, Bollywood, there was a lot of camaraderie, there was a lot of support that I got. I could not even imagine what happens in the bylanes of the city, where unknown are beaten, where these women, that is why every time I used to go to the protest site, I started going to so many protest sites. I kept telling the people, please educate yourself regarding certain things that is, for example, how can an FIR be done? When can a police enter your house? What happens when you're picked up by the police? What happens when your men folk are picked up by police? What is the active role women should play? And I think that advocacy, is more important. See, talking about trauma only satisfies the person who's traumatizing you. I felt that there is a need. Right now, I'm doing law. I am 48. I decided to pursue law because I thought if I am not able to do anything, at least I'll be able to educate people, make them, law literate. So that when police enters your house, you know what to do, how to stop them, how to get your people out of the thana. A couple of days before the Women's Day, that's the irony, where our posters went up. And there were more than 100 hoardings that the government had put up saying that we have destroyed the public property and approximately recovery of 63 lakhs should be made from us. They had when they put up these hoardings, I don't know who was advising Yogi Adityanath, but when the hoardings came up, he had no clue how he would recover it, how would he divide the amount. You do not put somebody on, you do not shoot somebody before or kill somebody or put him on a phansi unless the crime has been actually established. We were all under trials. We were out on bail. And we were out on bail because they could not provide sufficient evidence against us. And then you are saying that, our hoardings with our addresses. Being a single mother, my 2 children who were much younger back then, they were here in the house. What if the mob attacked us? Who would we go to? The police? The police had put up the hoarding. So we know that, only after we were killed and the house looted, only then the police would turn up. Thankfully, Allahabad High Court took the suo moto. But that whole thing that happened was shocking. And now with the, I trust the legal procedure and the judiciary in the country. But sometimes I do get disillusioned.
Whatever Sadaf is saying, the whole idea of putting up posters of the people who are accused in the case along with their address, or the whole idea of taking back money from the people who are accused for the damages they caused during a public possession was unprecedented and not legally binding. The whole idea was to overwhelm the civil society so that they will look away from the atrocities that police has committed in other part of the state. One of the co-accused with Sadaf was S.R. Darapuri, a retired IPS officer.
But actually I did not participate in that, and I have been an IPS officer for 32 years. I know what are the limitations of a protester and what the protester should not do. I don't think if anybody can imagine that a person like me with 32 years IPS service and retiring as IG, he will indulge in violence, he will indulge in damaging the property. And in fact, I didn't participate in that protest at all, because on 19th December 2019, I was put under house arrest. There was police posted out of my house here, and I was inside my house. Of course, when I learned that some violence or some disturbance had taken place in the Lucknow city, I wrote that this violence, there is no place for violence in any agitation. All the protests should be peaceful, and now the person should not be persecuted as I apprehended. And I talked to some other person. I told them that since it has taken place, now the police will start persecuting the people. Let us make a peace committee. Let us make a committee and then meet the police and meet the persons also, so that there is not persecution, there is not victimization. I talked to many of the person, but since it was Friday on the next day, and the atmosphere was quite tense, we couldn't hold any meeting. We decided to hold meeting on Saturday. That is on 21st. But throughout the day of 19th, I was in my under house arrest. I didn't go anywhere. I didn't write anything provocating on my social media also. Rather, I called for peace. I called for non-violence or peaceful protest. But on 20th this December, I was taken away from my house at about 11:30 in the morning. I was told that I have to go to the nearest police station, Ghazipur, and just stay there. I thought it may be just a preventive action, as the police normally does. They take a person, they make him sit for some time, and they release him in the afternoon, in the evening. I thought that thing may be with me also. But but when I was taken to the police station, I left my mobile here. My family members, they immediately they put this post on the wall. The police has taken me from my house at 11:30, and his whereabouts are not known, because my family members were searching for me where I went taken to. But one fellow known to me, he went to the Ghazipur police station where I was kept, but he was told that I am not there. Then my family member, they rang up the DGP, they rang up the police control room, that some person, policemen have taken away myself to some place, and his whereabouts are unknown. Then they got the reply that I am in Ghazipur police station. I was sitting there. I was not allowed to meet anybody. Then in the evening, I was taken to the Hazratganj police station. Before starting from this police station, I asked the inspector whether I am being arrested. He said, no, you have just to go to the Ghazipur police, Hazratganj police station. I went there. I asked the inspector there that, am I going to be arrested? He just laughingly, yes, you are going to be arrested. 39 have already been arrested. You are the 40th one, man. And okay, it is okay. Then I was made to sit in the police office on a chair, and then nobody was allowed to meet me. My son, he went to the police station searching for myself, and then he was threatened. He was threatened by the inspector that he should also be taken into custody. So my son, being threatened, he just ran away from the police station. I was there. In the night, I was not given any food. It was very cold. It was mid-December. I was feeling cold. I was putting on very ordinary these clothes. I asked for a blanket, but I was refused. I was not given any blanket. Then somehow or the other, I contacted my family members here and got a jacket from there, and got some food also from there. And in the night, I was taken to the hospital for medical examination. From there, I was taken to the remand magistrate, and I was asked to stay outside. Since it was night, the remand magistrate was at his residence, and then I was asked to wait out, but I refused. I said, since you have brought me for police remand, then I will like to appear before the magistrate and tell my story. I appeared before the remand magistrate. I told him that I am innocent. I have been taken away from my house at 11:30 in the morning, and I have done nothing. I was nowhere. I am innocent. He was convinced that there is nothing. He asked me what is the allegation against the sub-inspector said it is conspiracy. Then what is conspiracy? What is the conspiracy? Is no crime unless there is some other crime. Then he said no. You have caught hold of an innocent person. I will not give you police remand. He started writing. Against the police, and then the Inspector Hazratganj came. He folded his hands before the magistrate, and then the magistrate didn't proceed further. I was brought down to the vehicle. Then I was taken back to the police station. There I was asked to wait there, and then after returning to the police station, the police wrote that we went for taking his remand, but the magistrate was not available, which is totally false. I was before the magistrate. I gave him statement. He listened to me, but the police wrote that the magistrate was not available, and he has been brought back, and he will be put before the other magistrate. Then next day in the afternoon, I was taken to the jail. Then there was the magistrate outside the jail. I was taken before him. Again, I told him that I am totally innocent. I didn't participate in any agitation. I was at my. Then he said, "I'm sorry, I can't do anything. You will face the same thing what others are facing." I'm okay. So that way, I was not involved in that agitation at all. I was not on the spot, and I didn't write anything objectionable on my Facebook or on the social media. But even then, since as president of All India People's Front Party, we have been opposing the CAA. I was targeted and I was falsely implicated in that case. And as many as 18 sections of law had been put against me. It is attempt to murder, it is rioting, it is arson, then conspiracy. There is nothing specific against me. This conspiracy is there. I conspired with others. But who were the other persons? I don't know. I didn't participate in any meeting. And later on, I found in the FIR that there is mention of one demonstration held at Hazratganj crossing at Ambedkar Murthy statue. There I participated. Yes, I participated there. But that protest was against police action in Aligarh Muslim University. I spoke against that action, and I wrote the same thing on my Facebook. There is no mention of opposing CNRC or myself participating in that. But I was implicated. I have been implicated as a conspirator. Then I was put on 14 days this judicial remand. I was in jail for 3 weeks, and ultimately then I got the bail. I was the first person to get the bail because there was nothing against me. Everything is in my favor. And you will be surprised to know that I was taken at 11:30 a.m. from my house on 20th of December, but my arrest has been shown as 7:30 p.m. from some park whose name I don't know. So my arrest is totally illegal. It is illegal. This custody. It is illegal custody.
What is NHRC these days? What is it doing? We were invited to Clarkabad, a 3-5-star hotel by NHRC. We gave our statements. We got threatened by the government even more. That's it. Nothing happens. Who do you file an FIR against? Police beating you up? To the police? Your qatil is your munsif here. Where do you get justice? Yogi Adityanath is running the state as if it is not the part of India. It is not the state that runs on constitution. It runs on his arbitrations. There were certain people who remained in jail much after we were released. They continued to be in jail for around another year or 6 months. So people suffered there, especially the daily wagers suffered. Anybody who was Muslim, they were picked up. People from Assam were working in one of the restaurants. Where we were arrested, there's a lane of the whole lot of restaurants are there. So they were picked up from there. They were sent to jail. And they said that they are Bangladeshis. They've come to India to, create to do this rioting. For which Mohammed Shoaib, the very senior journalist, was picked up. And which was, there was no connection at all. So harassing people, and they kept coming to our houses. You would have uniformed people, and in civil dress, they would come at our doorstep. They would videograph our children. They would say horrible things to us कि तुम्हारी माँ पत्थरबाज है, उसको उठा ले जाएंगे, arrest कर लेंगे. अगर arresting नहीं चाहिए तो अपनी माँ से कहो पैसे दे. This was the kind of language that they were speaking. They were ringing bells in our apartments, various other apartments, and they were saying आपके बच्चे खेलते हैं इनके साथ. ये दंगाई यहाँ पे रहती है. So basically, not only legally they were harassing us, economically they were harassing us, but also they were trying to get us ostracized by the community, by the society in which we were living, which eventually happened.
Since you're the man of law, you have served the police force, what did you make of that day? It's not just what happened in Lucknow, it is what happened throughout UP on 28th of December. We are talking about 23 people being killed, and most of them have their injuries from police bullets. Their funerals were sort of sieged by the police, and the bodies were taken away, and even police buried the bodies along with the family members, but it was forceful in the middle of the night. You have mass arrests. The unknown affair is against 1 lakh people. How do you comprehend all of this, and what do you make of this?
Yes, sir. I can say with full authority or with full belief that the violence here, it was stage managed. The police had already information that this agitation, this protest is going to take place on the 19th. Elaborate arrangements were made, barriers were put, lot of police force was deployed for that Parivartan Chowk. And then I fail to imagine how the people could reach that place when force is deployed there, barriers are there, every arrangement is there. How the people, later on I learned, when the next day I was arrested, when I went to jail, from there I learned from Mr. Mohammed Shoaib and others that when they were arrested on 19th, some other more persons were also arrested from the spot. They were taken to Hazratganj police station. But there they told that they belong to BJP. They are BJP men. So they were made to sit separately. Then some BJP leaders, they came to the police station, and then with full honor that they were allowed to go home. Rather, they were served tea there. So that confirms my belief that this violence was stage managed. Later on, I learned from a correspondent of an international media that he had visited all the places in Uttar Pradesh. He said that at other places also this violence was stage managed. It was orchestrated to justify the persecution which later on went on. Because as a police officer, I know sometimes the state or does indulge in such tactics. They themselves instigate. They create a situation. They indulge in stone throwing or pelting or arson, so that their action may be justified. When they persecute, they target the innocent person afterward. Similarly, as I have learned that this violence was stage managed throughout Uttar Pradesh, and the people were killed, and they have not been accounted for. And as many as I think 21 persons were killed on that day. But there is no FIR saying that they were killed with the police bullet. Rather, the police has said the persons came armed with this firearm, and then they fired among themselves. It is unimaginable. The people who are going to protest, then they are not going to take enmity on anybody. They are not going to settle any score with their opponent. They are going to part. Then how it is possible that they will be firing on their own men and killing their own men? So it is very unfortunate that the 21 police killings, they have gone unaccounted for, and their family member, they have not got any help from the state. They have got no compensation, and no policeman has been punished for that. Though it was a very rather very strong-handed action of the police, in which the persons were victimized. Of course, if there is some violence or something, then the people should be arrested in the normal way as they are arrested in other cases. But in this case, there was police firing. There are videos, but no person who was killed by the police, he has been accounted for. So this killing of 21 persons on one day, it is unimaginable. It is too much. It is too much.
See, on 19th of December, men were usually beaten. Basically, it was the men who were beaten. I was one among so many men who were picked up. So basically, they went ahead to target men. We will beat you up. We will put you in jail. आप पत्थरबाज हो, तुम कश्मीर से inspired हो, तुम terrorist हो. So the whole, even in the jail, this guy used to come, he used to sell us things. He used to say, अच्छा तुम ही पत्थरबाजी में आई हो. So the पत्थरबाजी, the riots. So when women realize that this is what you do to our men, and you stealthily break our CCTV cameras and you enter our houses and beat us up, we will come on street. Please beat us up now. Let the world see you beat us up. So, what happens when you take fear of death out of people? Like today, I should be the most scared and silent woman in the country. Why am I vocal? Because they've taken that fear out of me. You want to kill me? Fine, go ahead. How would you choose to kill me? Run my car over with a truck? Do it. Shoot me? Do a fake encounter? Please carry on. Because you've taken that fear out of me. I was scared that what will happen to my children. I'm no longer scared. Women were scared that their things would be taken away. Their houses would be looted by the police, which was looted. Women are scared that the men would be put under most atrocious of charges. They were put under most atrocious of charges by the police. What have you done? You have made them fearless, and that's what they showed us. They came out on streets. They protested in Lucknow. We had nothing over our heads. We were protesting, and the temperature was going down to 0 degrees. It was raining during winters. Women sat in the rain from 16th of January to sometime in March, and when the corona came in. And had the corona not come in, the women would have continued. And when they left the site, they left their dupattas there, saying that we are leaving, but we are leaving our respect back here, and we will come back to retain it.
The way things were happening to you, not given food or not given a jacket,
Yes, sir.
Did it break you at any point of time? And did you feel that pain of being part of the same service, but how the service is returning the favors to you?
When I was in the jail, I met the other persons who were arrested before me or after me. Most of them told me that when they were taken into custody, they were badly beaten at the police station. Sadaf told me that she was beaten, she was kicked, she was abused. The other persons also, I know two more persons who were arrested along with me on 20th. They were also beaten. And the people were taken out, they were taken to a place, they were made to appear before the senior officer, and they were beaten before the senior officer. It is totally uncalled for. You have arrested somebody, you are responsible for his safe custody. But taking into custody and then beating them like anything, and then saying many objectionable things, it is totally uncalled for, unbecoming. And in my 32 years service, I never allowed anybody to misbehave with the arrested person. He is in custody. You can put him in you can take to the magistrate. Then you can send him to the jail. You have no business to abuse him or to beat him. But unfortunately, in this case, I know about Lucknow district. The people were beaten like anything. They were beaten before the senior officer. And I am told that in my absence, I was also abused by one senior police officer. I was abused by name by name. I was told that. And this behavior of the police, it is highly objectionable, and it shows their communal bias. It shows their communal bias also.
The people, so I understand you also come with you're a person with a lot of privilege
Yes.
and understanding of law and order.
Yeah.
But a lot of normal people, auto rickshaw drivers, or normal people, they had to sell their things and pay for this fine. What do you make of that fine? And this also is a genesis of where the whole bulldozing justice starts, and which has been going on throughout the country. We have been called out even in the Supreme Court right now.
Yes, sir. As you say, I know the law. I have got some privileges. I went to the High Court. And prayed for the stay. But I know many persons in Lucknow city itself who was forced to pay. They had to sell their property. Their property was seized. It was totally illegal. So they had no other way to submit to the police demand. So that way, that was further persecution. We are being persecuted for that so-called that crime, and then a recovery thing is there. It was just it was too much on the person who were just accused, and then our photographs were put on this crossing, prominently saying that these persons are responsible. This recovery is pending against them, and that too was totally illegal. It was a suo motu taken notice by the Allahabad High Court, and the Allahabad High Court said it is illegal. You please take them away, but the state did not take them down. The state went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court also didn't give any order in its favor, but still those posters continued for many days, and then with the weather they have gone away. They are gone, and that action of the state was totally illegal. Our photographs cannot be put on board just like that, but the government did it.
Not just photographs, the addresses of people.
Yes, addresses were there. Our addresses were put there, and the state said yes. We put these photographs so that nobody should purchase their property, because that is to under consideration for recovery of the damages. So that was the plea. But even then, the state didn't have any power to put those photographs.
But it is also a risk for life.
Yes.
Your address in the public, and you have been called as an anti-national on the media. That could be terrifying your family. How was the family, your children, responding to the whole situation? Because they are also worried about yourself. Right?
My family was very much worried, especially my ailing wife was very much worried, and the other persons were also worried. But since I have been in the force, I was able to keep them cool. But it really put us to a lot of this danger, because the atmosphere around it was so much against us that we could be targeted. Our photographs were there, our addresses were there, and it was all high-handedness of the state, and this action was totally illegal. And in spite of the order of the High Court, the state didn't take down our photographs.
Are you happy with the way even the court has served during these times? Do you feel satisfied with? I mean, whenever you're making this thing that these are illegal, there are mechanisms and institutions that are supposed to protect when something illegal happens, even from the face of from the law enforcement agencies.
Yes, sir.
But do you believe that judiciary is working?
Yes, it is very much disturbing. If a person like me, I have seen so many things while in the service. I also got perturbed. My family got perturbed, and whereas their action was totally illegal, but state continued to indulge in that. In spite of our protests, in spite of our going to the High Court, they didn't scale down. Their threats, their other things, they continue, and it is. I think these days it is very difficult for a person to oppose the state or stand against the state, because state is so powerful. And when state decides to do illegal things, you can fight the state on the legal point. But when the state is indulging in the illegal thing, and unfortunately, you to seek relief from the courts, that is also very delayed and very doubtful also. And many times they do not get relief in very genuine cases. And it is very harmful for the democracy, and it is highly atrocious for the common man.
If you look at what happened in the anti-CAA protest, a lot of people have said, and you have also said, this is communal, this is caste biases in the police force. The way Muslimness is policed during this time, from the chief ministers, from the prime minister saying that look at their clothes and
Yes.
by the protesters. What happens to a Muslim when he sees a police? Is very frightening. He feels hostile.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a genuine problem? How is it going to affect the future of this country?
As you know, this problem has been there earlier also, but it was not to that scale, or it was not that open. The state tried to be neutral in most of the cases, or put up a show of neutrality. But now, unfortunately, it is the state. State is very acting in a very communal way, and this machinery is going ahead. It is trying to satisfy the state in all the possible way. In that way, for the minorities, it is very difficult to survive, because they are being targeted, and the administration is very harsh towards them, whereas it is very lenient towards the other side. So the minorities are feeling insecure, and unfortunately they are not getting relief from the courts to the desired extent, and this situation is very dangerous. I would say dangerous for our country, for our national unity and integrity. The state has become totally communal, whereas it is supposed to be secular and neutral.
The day after Sadaf and Darapuri were arrested, Uttar Pradesh police killed 20 people in different cities of Uttar Pradesh. The total death toll goes up to 23, including an 8-year-old boy who was killed in a stampede. All of it in the next episode of Kakiland. If you have listened so far, please let me know what you think about these episodes. Thank you for listening.